Kevin Wolf, welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Writer Podcast.
Always good to see you, Mark.
Great to see you. And you're up in Estes Park, clear across the state from where I am in Mancos, west of Durango, but kind of closing down on the end of a beautiful fall.
Well, you couldn't tell it's the end of the fall by today. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But Trail Ridge Road is already officially closed for the year, so they've got snow up high.
And when Trail Ridge Road closes through Rocky Mountain National Park, can you tell the difference in the tourist traffic through Estes Park?
No, we're still in that season where people are dashing up from the Front Range from Fort Collins, Greeley, Denver to see the elk and the aspen leaves. So middle of the week is a little bit slower in town, but weekends are still busy.
Yeah. Any elk outside your window right now?
Not right now, but yesterday I had an early appointment, and the elk were crossing the road right outside my house, and there was about 80 in a bunch, and I was late for my appointment because of an elk.
That's amazing. Do you ever get tired of seeing them?
No.
Yeah.
And this time of year, they're bugling and prancing around, and it's just magnificent.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we've got a number of things to talk about, including a new book from you, The Bootheel, which we will get to here momentarily. Before we get too far, and I'm going to take a quick sip of water. I just wanted to ask you about the conference this year. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it, but I know you always, are right in the middle of things in terms of, I assume you did the first time a conference attendee kind of orientation, and what was your impression of the conference this year, and how did it go? Colorado Gold.
I think we're finally getting out of the COVID mindset.
Yeah.
And that's kind of ironic, isn't it? And so I'm trying to remember. We had I've been doing the first timers orientation and welcome for several years now, and typically we have about 25% of the attendees will be first time at our conference. And this year it was up almost 40% of
wow.
So that was up. Now, and again, as I talked to some of them, it's they were finally getting out and getting around after not doing conferences. But I think we were close to 130 or something first timers out of a conference that was just not quite 300 when you add everybody in. So that was good. The new venue, I missed last year. So this is my first year at the new venue. It's just a good place for a conference. That's what it's set up for. And and the people at the hotel and the conference center are just great hosts for us. So that worked out. I thought we had just a good slate of agents and editors in. It's always fun on that Saturday after everybody's had the chance to do some pitches, to hear the excitement and buzz about who's sending pages to who. And again, I think that the agents that I talked to, they were out of their cave too. They hadn't been able to attend conferences for a while, so I think that was that was a plus. That's something that Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers has been has always done a good job, is getting the pros in to talk to people. Earlier this year, I was up at in Rapid City for Western Writers of America, and it was their 40th anniversary, and they had a good turnout, but they just don't get the editors and agents in. Of course, it's a small slice niche market there, but they just was one of the things that they were talking about, what to do in the future to get some of those people in, even though they're smaller presses. But how do you get them to come to the conferences and meet the writers that are trying to get their stuff out there? So I think Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers has historically done that very well, and I think that's one of the things that attracts people to the conference. Yeah, it was yeah, a lot of new people moving around. You know, and then a lot of the old guys there, except for one that was noticeably absent.
Things happen, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I really, I was so bummed all weekend when that was happening, because I didn't go last year either, so I haven't seen the new facility either. And but you know, nothing will stop me next year. Famous last words.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer about not going. I mean, it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
yeah. But so speaking of RMFW events, are you helping organize this?
Yeah. I'm vice president, and
Yeah,
one of the
yeah,
vice president duties is the fall or the winter and summer get-togethers. And so this year it's December 2nd, the first Saturday afternoon in December. We're partnering with the Bookies, who has been who has stepped in and done a wonderful job running the bookstore at the conference, and been a good friend to Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers over the years. And of course,
sure.
their bookstore is currently at Colorado and Mississippi, but they are moving to a freestanding building a little bit later this spring. But on December 2nd, they're inviting Rocky Mountain Fiction writers and authors in all day. We're going to have a book sale. And so we've divided it up into, now there's an application up on the website if you're interested in participating that day. And as we get the final numbers, we'll figure out how it will work. But basically, it'll be either an hour and a half or a 2-hour session there, and we'll have 3 to 5 writers per session, starting at noon and going right up till 6 o'clock. So that, yeah, December 2nd, apply online. And it's going to, I'm afraid it's probably going to come down to a lottery system, that we're going to have more applications than we got slots. Yeah. But we'll see what we can do. And we'll, so you can sell books. And then the second part of that is, it's the holiday gifts giving season. We're going to be, weekend before is Black Friday and the big kickoff, but this will be the lull before everything starts to get in. So if you're looking to, we'd like to invite people in to buy books and meet the authors all afternoon. And then the third part of this is that when we close down about 6:30, we'll have our annual holiday get together there at the Bookies. We'll bring in some refreshments and beverages, and we'll introduce the new board. And we're also, just today, we got something that we're going to add to this that I'll tell you about later as soon as we get all the details worked out. But somebody just came out with a kind of a unique idea and said, "You want to try this?" And we said, "Yeah, is that good? Is that my building suspense, Mark?"
You got me intrigued.
Yeah, no, we got. Yeah. So it'll be a thing where you can come sell your book, or come buy a book, hang around, and then we'll all get together and have something to eat later, and meet the new president. By the way, and let me pitch that too, that the election will be going on during the month of November. And so watch the website and newsletter and other places for details, because nominations will be coming out shortly, and that election has to happen.
Yep. So just to be clear, if you are a writer and you apply and you're accepted to be part of the event, you get an hour to an hour and a half to be at a table and sell your books?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have 2 or 3 writers at a time in a group, and then you turn it over to the next group.
Yeah, that's the idea. We're thinking 3, maybe as many as 5, depending on how many people apply and what we can finally work out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want it to be so crowded that they're not noticed, but we want to get in as many in. Also, the second part of this is in working with the Bookies as they go into their new new place. They really want to have a place and to highlight local authors and local independent authors. It's a niche that probably other people aren't going after. And with the news this week of their big competitor, it's definitely good that we have a friend with the Bookies.
Yeah, I mean, for those who might be listening outside the Metro Denver area and not have caught the word that the tattered cover filed for bankruptcy, and clearly they're just reorganizing. They expanded to many stores and are trying to regroup and just do something a little more compact. But without being too critical, I just have to say, tattered cover was really making it hard for local authors to be part of their world. So, it's great to hear Bookies, and Bookies has always been very accessible and very open to anybody approaching them.
And I think that that they're recognizing that the independent published people need an avenue, and people have to find them. And as they move into this new location, that's something you're going to want to highlight. So I think that that's just good news for us at Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers and our group of independent published people.
Yeah,
and they've been good, and they've just been good to us, helping out at the conference over the years. I don't know how many of us have done events at their place over the years, so they're just a good friend, and we want to keep that relationship going.
Yeah. And it's the same people, basically. Nicole, who was behind Book Bar up on Tennyson, and for years had the various gatherings there, the winter parties as well, and those election announcement gatherings were up there at Book Bar, and she's just been, like you say, a friend of the writing community. Yeah.
And I think if this works out in December the way I think it will, maybe we can talk them into doing this in conjunction with our summer meeting.
Yeah.
If they'd be at their new location, and that'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Well, before we get to your new book, The Bootheel, I just want to ask you, how long have you been up at Estes Park now?
I moved up in summer of 2018.
Okay. What has that meant? I mean, it seems like you have made an effort to maintain a strong connection with the Denver writing community. And yet it's a, 70, 80 mile drive. And I just wonder if did that help your writing? Did it change your feeling of connectedness to the Metro Denver folks?
When I first moved up here, one of the things on my priority list after we got kind of settled was finding the writers community up here. And I reached out to Northern. I went to the library and said, "Hey, is something happening up there?" And nobody knew. So I reached out to Northern Colorado writers and said, "Do you have some people up here that are doing something?" And that was right during their transition. And they were real good. And they got back and said, we had a small group of people that were meeting up there, but we kind of lost contact, and they passed on the names. And so I sent out an email and introduced myself to these people and got a small group going. Just so I had a community of people to start sharing work with. Got to the library up here and had a local authors day, got to know some people. And 1 year when NaNoWriMo was about to start, they asked me if I'd come in and do a workshop on, share my experiences getting going. Through that, I met some other people, and got small. My 4 or 5 people expanded to 6 or 7, and we're meeting regularly. Then COVID happened, and guess what? All of a sudden, we, especially as technically challenged people, we discovered Zoom.
Yeah.
And we converted to a Zoom meeting once a week. And what was 6 or 7 people up here in Estes Park, my current Monday night Zoom group, have a lady from Salt Lake City, one from Washington State, a guy from Grand Junction that, is a Rocky Mountain fiction writers group, 2 or 3 from Denver area. So suddenly this group is, Zoom has brought us all closer together with that. And this group of writers that I've got, I think we had 4 of us were at the conference this year. Some of them are trying to get into the Saturday workshops that now we're Zooming and stuff. So, the world got smaller, even though the distances stayed the same. And but then, and then the other part of that is, as you make friends, and and you just want to stay connected. ZJ and I talk, nobody talks anymore, but we email or text, probably once a week. I still stay in contact with Mindy and Sue Hinken and some of the people out of that Southwest Plaza group, that was there when I first started with Rocky Mountain fiction writers. So that's been good. And, I meet new people every year, and, it's, you make the effort, but I'm like you, Mark. I just I like the stuff that goes on with around the community, and try to stay involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, down here in Mancos, so in the Four Corners area, we have a bunch of us writers, Chuck Reeves, Scott Graham, a woman named Bethany Turner, published writers. We were getting together and just sort of, hobnobbing a little bit and sharing information about what was coming up with us, and maybe we would talk marketing, or it was very, very informal. But we decided to try to pull in unpublished writers, aspiring writers at any level, poets, memoirists, essayists, nonfiction writers. Just let's get everybody together. And lo and behold, we just had our second meeting this week, and we had 21 people there. We had high school students, and just really a good cross section of people. And it's just so wonderful to just be around other writers for an evening and chat about writing. And
we have, we've got a accomplished poet that reads her stuff every Monday night on Zoom. And I believe that as the months goes by, I'm hearing other people wax poetic in their writing, and even some rhythm and stuff emerging in some stuff. Got some people writing some memoirs, some mystery stuff, some dystopian stuff. Some people that just started writing, some people that won contests. A good friend that I met, one of the first people I met up when I got to Estes Park. His first book just came out. I'm going to grab it. Jason is
The Perils of Extremism. The Perils of Extremism.
Yeah, Jason, right guy at the right time. He was living in Montana and got introduced to the Oath Keepers group up there, and for a short time was a member, and even was their press secretary. And as things rolled forward, he recognized what it was in and disassociated with the stuff. But then when January 6th happened, he had a lot of stories to tell about his experiences.
Wow.
And this is there's a lot of politics in this book, but it's a good read from somebody that was right close to those people, and the people that are in the news, because I think 2 or 3 of those guys got sentenced in the last couple of weeks for this stuff.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, and Jason's got this out, and he's doing some stuff with he's got a couple of dystopian kind of looks ahead at what the future might look at. That's he's working on now.
Yep. Well, I think the takeaway from moving to Estes Park is no matter where you go, there you are. You can find your people if you want to.
Yeah, you got to grow where you're planted. I guess that's the
the story. I like that. Yeah. Very good. All right. So speaking of teasing the audience, they're all, the people listening to this podcast are like, can you finally get to the Bootheel? Because we need to find out what it's all about. So I just have to say, I went on, I looked at the description of the story, and I might be wrong. Well, I looked at some of the reviews.
No,
There were,
yeah, I apologize. That there's the editor's been having I don't think what's up there on Amazon is correct as yet.
oh,
It's
okay,
it's pulling back to some of my other stuff.
okay.
That's yeah.
I was going to say, it sounded kind of like, what? This is something I'd heard of before.
Yeah, that's what it's for whatever reason, it's pulling back to that series that I had out earlier, and that's the reviews and the synopsis that pops up, and
Okay.
it's something with the editor, and they just haven't been able to get it, straightened out first, but
All right.
but there is a little bit.
Bootheel.
Yeah, the Buddha. There's a little bit. Let me start with a little bit of a story that at the conference in 2015, I did a roundtable. The Friday event where you sit down with an editor, and depending on what year, whether you bring in a couple of chapters or so many words, and you're actually sitting with an industry professional in that genre that is actively looking, and it's a little critique group. There was only, I think, as I recall, it was Steve Morse, Terry Benson, myself, and I think there's just one other lady that did a roundtable with Tiffany Schofield, who was then with 5-Star, and we'd all brought in something. And 5-Star would at that time had gotten, I think they just gotten rid of mysteries, but Westerns was something that they were looking for. And I had this Western that I think I about finished it, was ready to go back in, and I sent in the first 2 chapters, I think is what they asked for that year. And we did the roundtable, and then Tiffany said, absolutely want to see stuff from, I think, all 4 of the people there. She said, I'd like to go on and take the next look. And I think Steve Moore's his book was published out of that group. And I can't remember what the title was, but I think that in fact, I'm sure that she picked that up. In fact, I was just suspicious when she said she wanted to see something from all 4 of us. So I kind of cornered her after dinner one night, and we sat down and said, really, all 4? And she said, oh, absolutely. That was good writing. I'm not saying I take all 4, but she says, listen, and we talked more about my book because it was it's a traditional Western, and that was what they were looking for at that time. So I got all excited, was going to call my agent on Monday morning and say, hey, look, we got this offer. Let's get this thing ready and get it in front of them. I had to leave I left that year right from the conference and had to go to the airport because I had a business meeting in Salt Lake City the very next morning. And I got to the hotel in Salt Lake City late at night. I was getting stuff ready for the meeting. Early on Monday morning, my telephone rings, and it was the editor from Minotaur telling me that I'd won the Hillerman contest.
Yep.
Yeah. So suddenly the Bootheel got pushed to the back.
Yeah.
And
that was for the Homeplace.
Yeah, we published the Homeplace, and got excited about that. And shortly after the Homeplace, my agent sold that 2 books to a small press that were my Weird Westerns. And so Bootheel got forgotten, and my agent was always encouraging about the book. Said, but Westerns are hard sell. It's a niche market. Let's maybe we get some, maybe there'll be an opportunity in the future. So kind of forgot. Yeah, really, I always liked the story and kind of forgot about it, but left the book there. So move ahead. My agent, 5-Star is now no more.
Yeah,
they go away, but their parent company with Tiffany moves over to do some supervision for Thorndike, which is large print books, and primarily again for the library market. And my agent and Tiffany cross paths someplace in the deal, and my name comes up. And I think it was basically Tiffany says, "Have you ever done anything with Kevin's Western?" And and Gina says, "No, it's still out there." And Tiffany says, "Well, how about, while I'm not doing anything Westerns with Five Star anymore, they're going to give me a chance to bring a few Westerns in this large print thing, where we usually go back and find something that's done well and put it in large print. They're going to give me a few opportunities." And I found out later at Western Writers, there were some guys that were like, 2 books into a 3-book series with Five Star. And when Five Star went away, that's, they were giving him the opportunity. So that's so after 8 years of sitting in not the desk drawer, because we don't file anything anymore, it's hidden someplace on your laptop. We got a chance to bring out Bootheel, and it came out end of September. It's library binding, so it's got a real neat cover on it, real quality binding, and then it's in large print, because a lot of old guys that read Westerns are at that stage of life where they need the large print. So that's a roundabout story of how it came to be. And I hope that for people who are listening, I hope it's don't give up, hang in there, network, and stuff happens.
Well, give us an idea what the Bootheel is about. Where is it set, and what's the story? I wanted to write a traditional Western, and so that's where it starts. And now when I say that, though, I want to do some things a little bit different. So instead of being in the 1880s, 1870s thing, the setting is 1908 New Mexico territory. The Bootheel is a remote ranch. Tyler is a teenager cowboy, that he's an orphan. He's come to live at the ranch, and the basic story is that Tyler and an old gunfighter leave the ranch and follow a treasure map into Mexico. Now, what I will, and every good Western that you think about is a journey. Think about Lonesome Dove, the cattle drive from Texas to Montana, 1883, that was just on TV as part of, with Taylor Sheridan and stuff. It was the wagon, the wagon train west. So my journey is this young cowboy and this experienced gunfighter leave the ranch to follow this treasure map into old Mexico. And then I play every trope that I think I could think of that was Western. We've got cattle rustlers. We've got a captive Indian maiden. We've got the saloon girl with negotiable virtues, but a heart of gold. We got a kind of a comical sidekick that emerges. We've got gunfights. We've got tornadoes and train wrecks and the whole bit. And we even ended, because I'm a bit of a history buff, and so we touch on some characters who as the Old West fades and the New West begins. Pat Garrett, they chance upon Pat Garrett, the man who killed Billy the Kid. Pancho Villa plays a role in it. The Texas Ranger that was mentioned was actually the Texas Ranger in El Paso at the time of this story. So it's it's a coming of age story for Tyler, the young fellow, but it's just a quick ride on a fast horse. Maybe is everything. There's gunfights and blood runs ankle deep by chapter 3. Wow. So it must feel fantastic to see this out in print. And I assume for many of those intervening years, you were like, maybe I'll never see the light of day. It was. I thought it was a good enough story, and I'm to that point, Mark, where you probably got stuff in the drawers, and you've been a little bit more aggressive with this stuff, and if nobody wants it, do we put it out ourselves and see what happens? And I'm very pleased. In fact, I think if you go up and try to order it right now,
they ran out of I don't think they had a great number of books in this particular genre at Amazon, but I think it's on back order right now, that they're, that the 6 books on this shelf got bought or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations. It's fantastic. Yeah. So before we let you go, what are you working on anything right now? Do you have anything else coming off out of your head?
Well, I mean, yeah, you and I haven't talked for a while, but I got my agent got very aggressive at the beginning of this year, and we got the rights back for both the Homeplace and Brokeheart in a town called Vengeance, kind of my weird Western stuff. And I've got the Homeplace is a mystery, contemporary Western mystery set on the eastern plains of Colorado. And I've written a second book that's the same set of characters and setting, and got a third one basically finished up, where we take those characters away. I pitched it hard at the Western Writers convention, and I thought something would happen, but we just got turned down there, so that's out. But my agent is taking this weird Western thing out and is shopping that around. So right now, when I wrote that series, we sold 2 books, and I had planned it to be a trilogy. And so I pulled out some of my old notes and working on that third book to see if that goes forward. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. And first of the year, I'm going to kind of say, okay, what do I really want to write next, and get something going. But I wanted to have, if we get a nibble on this weird Western, I wanted to have something for the third book that I could show,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love the Homeplace. It's been years since I read it, but if I still remember some scenes from that, and of course you're fabulous. I think she was a game warden or Birdie,
right? Mark, Birdie was a secondary character in the Homeplace, and when I pick up the story in the second, Birdie is the main character.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, and she's and my idea was it was a high kind of a disgraced high school basketball star is come home, and his best friend in high school is now a deputy sheriff. His name was Marty. The other classmate was Birdie, and she's the game warden in the county. So my idea was I was going to pick up each stories, but I've done 2 books with Birdie, and the next book, if I get that far, will be with the deputy sheriff out there who's lost his job and is trying to figure out what he's doing by the time we get there. So that's going on. But it's
that's great.
But hey, you're a guy that's hung in there and brought stuff back and found stuff and had stories that planted in your brain, and suddenly you go, hey, I'm going to write this story. So
yep, exactly. What is the title of the second book in the Homeplace series? What is the title of that one?
It's Fair Week, FAIR, but it's the county fair. Homeplace was in the fall of the year at hunting season. If we get to the second book, it would be Fair Week, because it's the heat of the summer, and it's the time the county fair is going on in this small town of Brandon, Colorado. Yeah.
Well, I would love to read that book when it comes out. I would love it. Great. Well, as we wrap up, you've already mentioned one book that you think folks should take a look at, but we always like to wrap up with a book recommendation or an author recommendation.
Can I do something a little bit different?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm going to make a deal. I'll make a deal with you. You can do something different if you tell me the secret about what's coming up at the December 2nd party, that wrinkle that you
I can't do that.
All right, I'll let you go ahead anyway.
and but fine, go up on our good buddy ZJ, president of Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers this year. His term is ending at the end of this year. He has got one of his novels up on Facebook. What do you call that, Mark?
Substack. He's on Substack.
So yeah. Do yourself a favor and read some of CJ's work. You know, that's yeah.
He's been releasing that a little bit at a time on Substack, I think.
Yeah. He's agented down and trying to sell some stuff, but yeah, that's do yourself a favor and read some of ZJ's work. That's
great. Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast today.
Last thing, Mark, December 2nd, save the date. Save the date, whether you're an author selling books, somebody buying gifts, or just want to come and enjoy, sit around with a bunch of writers at the end of the day, hear about what they sold, and see who's going to be president going into 2024.
Typical Kevin Wolf, always promoting others and thinking of the larger community. Yeah, thanks very much, Kevin, for jumping on the podcast and for all this great insights and obviously promoting the larger RMFW community as always.
Thank you, Mark.